I'm 8.5 years into my relationship, and I'm getting the itch to run away and start over. His mother says he's a lost cause, and I'm starting to believe her. I never thought I'd be here writing this. My boyfriend and I have been together for 8.5 years. We've had amazing memories together, faced countless struggles, and somehow made it through. We survived 2 separate long-distance periods where we lived in different states to prioritize our careers. We've held each other through family deaths, divorces, and losing beloved pets. We've watched our entire friend group get engaged, married, buy homes, have babies, hitting all those milestones society expects. Meanwhile, we're still here, stuck, or worse, moving backward. I have 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's, and I excel at my career, partly because I'm a perfectionist at heart, but mostly because it's the one thing keeping me going right now. I work out 5 times a week, eat clean, and try to lead what I call a wellness-inspired lifestyle. He has a bachelor's degree and a decent job in sales, but he hates working. Actually, he's hated every job he's had since college, 6 of them. He regularly calls in sick or invents client emergencies to go golfing, drinks excessively, then spends the next day recovering on the couch watching TV. He doesn't exercise, eats terribly, and has gained nearly 70 pounds in the past few years. The country club membership we got last year was supposed to be something we'd enjoy together. Instead, it's become his second home, while I'm lucky if I see him for dinner. He's formed this tight-knit group of golf buddies who seem to have replaced me in his priority list. I've tried golfing with him several times, but he refuses to ever go skiing with me, which I love. I asked him last week if we could have a date night on Friday. He told me he was too busy and had things to take care of. Then Saturday night, he went to dinner with a golf buddy he just met in January. They stayed at the restaurant for 5 hours. This is the 5th or 6th time they've done this since meeting, and they even went on a golf trip together last week. When I expressed that I was hurt, he told me I'm too dependent on him, that I have no friends. I do, they're just all married with kids now, and that my hobbies suck. I was devastated, but it got worse. Yesterday, I picked up his phone to check the time while he was in the shower. Mine was charging, and a text notification popped up. It was from one of his golf buddies. I know I shouldn't have looked, but something in me just knew. There were messages between him and several guys from the club talking about how I'm crazy and not normal because I wanted him home for dinner on a Sunday night before he leaves for a 10-day golf trip. But the thing that broke me was a call from his mother last night. We've always been close. She's almost like a second mom to me. She called to check in because she could tell something was off when we had dinner at their house last weekend. After I broke down and told her everything, she sighed and said something that keeps echoing in my head. Honey, I hate to say this about my own son, but he might be a lost cause. Don't waste your life waiting for him to grow up. I can hardly eat these days. I've lost 12 pounds in a month from stress. I put on makeup every morning just to make myself feel whole and hopefully stop myself from crying after he leaves for work. He kisses me goodbye and tells me I look gorgeous, like everything is normal. Everyone keeps asking when he's going to propose. My sister, my parents, our friends, his sister, and even our chiropractor ask all the time, when is he going to put a ring on it? Every vacation we go on, people ask, did he propose? I smile, laugh, make some excuse. But inside I'm crying and wondering why not, or if I even want that anymore. I've been clear for years that I want the whole package. A house, a dog, maybe kids, though my biological clock isn't getting any quieter. Stable careers, and a partner walking alongside me through it all. For years he said he was working toward that. But his father, who is extremely manipulative and awful to his mother, has been filling his head with how marriage isn't worth it, and kids ruin your life. I think I'm in denial that things are over and have been for a long time. I think I'm in denial that he simply doesn't want to grow up. But I've never been a quitter, and something inside me feels like there should be a solution. I guess I just don't understand what I'm missing to be that person for him. I don't even know what type of advice I need, but even writing this down feels oddly therapeutic. Update 1. First, thank you to everyone for the support and advice on my original post. I was overwhelmed by the responses, and many of you gave me a lot to think about. After posting, I decided I needed to start setting some boundaries. I told him I wanted one dedicated date night per week with no golf, no friends, no excuses. He reluctantly agreed, though he acted like I was asking for his kidney. I also joined a new yoga and spin class without him. I've met a couple of cool women there, and we've gotten coffee twice after class. It feels good to have something that's just mine. I've also reached out to some old college friends I'd lost touch with. Turns out they've been wondering where I've been all this time. We're planning a girls' weekend next month. At work, I volunteered for a big project that will require a lot of my focus and energy. My boss was thrilled, and I'm excited to channel my perfectionism into something productive instead of trying to fix my relationship. But of course, he couldn't just let me have these small wins. The first scheduled date night he canceled 2 hours before because there was an emergency tournament spot that opened up at the club. When I reminded him of our agreement, he asked why I was suddenly so needy. You never wanted to do these things before. Why now? Not true. I've been begging for quality time for years. Last weekend was his parents' anniversary dinner. His father spent half the evening ranting about how marriage ruins everything good in a man's life, while staring pointedly at me. Later, his father cornered me alone and said, you know he's never going to marry you, right? Probably for the best. The worst was at my friend's wedding last Saturday. Someone asked us when we were getting married, and he loudly joked, why would I want to get trapped like these poor suckers? Everyone laughed awkwardly. I went to the bathroom and cried. But there's more. I finally went through our joint account statements after some of you suggested I check our finances. I discovered he spent over $30,000 on golf equipment, tournament fees, and bar tabs at the club in the last year. This while telling me we can't afford to look at houses yet. I'm still processing this betrayal. My health is suffering suffering too. Besides the weight loss, my hair is falling out in clumps from stress. My doctor is concerned and has ordered blood work. My best friend from college, who I thought I could trust, apparently told him I should stop pressuring him and that my expectations are unrealistic. When I confronted her, she said she was just trying to help, but admitted he's been complaining to her behind my back for months. To top it all off, my parents came to visit last weekend. My mom pulled me aside and asked if I was prepared to waste my fertile years waiting for someone who clearly doesn't want the same things. That hit hard. I'm trying to stay strong, but some days I wonder if I should just cut my losses and walk away. 8.5 years is a long time, but is it worth throwing away more of my life on someone who doesn't seem to value me or our relationship? Update 2. Things reached a critical point 2 weeks ago. We had planned another date night, dinner reservations at my favorite restaurant, which I made well in advance. He texted an hour before to say he was feeling tired and wanted to stay in. I was disappointed but said that was fine. We could do something quiet at home instead. When I got home early from work to prepare a nice dinner, I found him passed out on the couch, golf on TV, empty beer cans everywhere. He had clearly been drinking all afternoon. Something in me just snapped. I woke him up and finally said everything I'd been holding back. I told him I couldn't keep living like this, watching him choose everything and everyone else over me. I asked point blank if he ever intended to marry me, build a life with me, or if I was just a comfortable habit he wasn't ready to break. His answer: I don't know why you're always rushing things. We have plenty of time. After 8.5 years together, he thinks I'm rushing things. I didn't yell or cry. I just told him I was going to stay with my sister for 2 weeks, and when I came back, we needed to have a real conversation about our future. I told him I needed a timeline, not vague some days, but actual plans and dates. I also said I wanted us to see a couples therapist. My sister was amazing. She let me cry, vent, and process. I also started seeing my own therapist, who helped me realize I've been terrified of starting over, of wasting the 8.5 years and having to rebuild my life from scratch. When I returned home, I was calm and clear about what I needed. I told him I was giving him 3 months to demonstrate real commitment to our relationship. I wanted couples therapy weekly, a concrete timeline for engagement within a year, and for him to cut back on drinking and golfing to a reasonable level. I also started looking at apartments, just to know my options. There's a nice place close to my office that would be perfect for a fresh start, and my company has an opening in their Seattle office that I'm considering. A complete change might be exactly what I need. His reaction to all this shocked me. First came the love bombing. Flowers delivered to my office every day, surprise gifts, constant texts about how much he loves me and can't live without me. But simultaneously, his golf friends started texting me saying I was destroying him and being selfish. One even said I should be grateful he stayed with me this long given how controlling I am. The real divide came in his family. His mother called to tell me she was proud of me for standing up for myself. His sister sent me a long email saying she's watched him treat me poorly for years and was glad I was finally drawing a line. But his father has been calling me nonstop, leaving voicemails about how I'm emasculating his son and manipulating him with ultimatums. Our friend group has basically split in two. Some are checking in on me, offering support and places to stay if needed. Others have stopped inviting me to things but still include him. The most surprising thing is that he actually showed up to our first therapy session. I was genuinely shocked, but in the session, he spent the entire time talking about how my perfectionism and unrealistic standards were the real problem. The therapist asked us to complete some exercises before our next session. I did mine that night. His remain untouched a week later. I'm standing firm, but this is the hardest thing I've ever done. Some days I just want to say forget it and go back to how things were, just to stop the chaos. But I know I deserve better. Final update. It's been about 3 weeks since my last update, and a lot has happened. The time is flying by with our lease ending in 57 days, and I'm feeling the pressure to make decisions. After the first therapy session, there was a brief period of improvement. He cut back on golf, we had a few nice dinners together, and he even mentioned looking at houses soon. But within 2 weeks, the pattern returned. He missed our second therapy session because of a client meeting. I later found out from his coworker that he was at the club. By the third session last week, he was back to blaming everything on me. His manipulation tactics have gotten more calculated. Last week, he brought up the time I supported him through his father's heart attack 3 years ago, saying, "I guess all that meant nothing to you," when I expressed frustration about another canceled plan. He reminds me of our history constantly, our first apartment, trips we took, inside jokes, using our past to make me feel guilty about wanting more from our future. I've continued the therapy sessions alone. The therapist has been helping me see the patterns more clearly. She pointed out how he agrees to changes but never follows through, how he makes just enough effort to keep me hopeful before reverting to old behaviors. 2 weeks ago, we attended another friend's wedding. When someone inevitably asked about our plans, I excused myself before he could answer. I ended up having a panic attack in the venue's bathroom. A woman I didn't know found me crying and stayed with me until I calmed down. Turns out she had left a 10-year relationship the year before and said it was the hardest but best decision she'd ever made. It felt like the universe was sending me a sign. His social media has become increasingly concerning. After nights of heavy drinking, he posts passive-aggressive comments about controlling women and men who've lost their freedom. His friends encourage this behavior, commenting things like, "Preach," and "Don't let her see this bro, lol." On the practical side, our lives are so intertwined it's terrifying. Our lease is up in 57 days, and yesterday his father called the landlord behind my back to discuss renewal options. I only found out because the landlord called to ask if we wanted the same terms. Apparently, his father offered to be a co-signer even though we've never needed one before. It feels like I'm being locked in. Separating our finances would be a nightmare. Joint accounts, shared credit card, the car we bought together. Last night, I started making a spreadsheet of who paid for what and had to stop after an hour because I was having a panic attack. 8.5 years of entanglement doesn't unravel easily. My doctor didn't mince words at my appointment yesterday. everything. Your body is in crisis, she said, showing me my blood work results. My cortisol levels are through the roof. I'm severely anemic from not eating, and my immune system is compromised. The irony isn't lost on me that my wellness-inspired lifestyle has been completely destroyed by this relationship, while I've been judging his unhealthy habits. Work has become another casualty. The project I took on to distract myself is now suffering because I can't focus. My boss pulled me aside after a presentation where I completely blanked mid-sentence. She was kind but concerned, suggesting I take some personal days. I've never needed personal days in my entire career. This morning, his mother called in tears. She'd tried to talk to him about his behavior, and he exploded at her, bringing up childhood grievances and blaming her for taking my side. She apologized to me, as if her son's behavior was somehow her fault. I spent an hour consoling her, which feels like a twisted role reversal. I've started viewing apartments online, just looking at options. When he saw my browser history, he laughed and said, "You'll never leave. Where would you even go? All your friends are busy with their perfect marriages and babies." Then last night, he left a real estate listing for a house on the kitchen counter. Exactly the kind of place I've always wanted. When I asked about it, he shrugged and said, "Just thought you'd like to see what we could have if you weren't so demanding about everything else." The Seattle job called again yesterday. They've increased their offer and need an answer by next Friday. The idea of a completely fresh start is both exhilarating and terrifying. I'd be leaving everything, him, family, but maybe that's exactly what I need. A few of my married friends have actually been incredibly supportive lately, checking in and offering to help however they can. They've seen how he treats me at gatherings, and apparently they've been concerned for longer than I realized. Our couples therapist suggested we each write a letter about where we see ourselves in 5 years. I wrote mine last night, 8 pages of hopes, dreams, and plans. He still hasn't written a word. When I asked about it this morning, he said, "What's the point? You've already decided I'm not in your future anyway." His sister texted last night that he's been asking about their grandmother's ring, the family heirloom that's supposed to be the engagement ring. Is this another manipulation tactic? After 8.5 years, now he's thinking about proposing, just when I'm finally finding the courage to leave? I've stopped rushing home after work, started reconnecting with college friends he always complained were too intellectual and pretentious. Yesterday, I bought a new dress he would hate, small rebellions. His golf buddies' wives have started reaching out, saying they miss seeing me around. I wonder if they know their husbands have been encouraging him to stand his ground against my ultimatums. Tomorrow, we have our 4th therapy session. I have a feeling it will be the last one. Not because I'm giving up on therapy, but because I'm finally accepting what everyone has been telling me. Maybe some things aren't meant to be fixed. Maybe his mother is right. Maybe he is a lost cause. I've started keeping a journal of all the times he makes me feel small. It's already 30 pages long after just 2 weeks. Last night, I reread the first pages of it and cried until 3 a.m. Not because I was sad, but because seeing it all written down made me angry. Really, genuinely angry for perhaps the first time. The lease ends in 57 days. I haven't decided what I'll do yet, but I did sign up for a month-long yoga retreat in Bali that falls over our anniversary. I haven't told him. Small steps.